How's it going, YouTube? Yeah, Pat Mac here, bringing you a competitive guide for Skeledirge, which is a new Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. Let's go and take a look at the stats here and some of the roles that it can play on both singles and doubles. So first off, Skeledirge is a Fire Ghost type. It is one of the starter evolutions coming from Fuecoco, which in my opinion is the cutest starter, but we're not really here to talk about that. We're here to talk about competitive Pokemon. So anyway, you got Skeledirge here. It's got the normal starter ability, which is Blaze. If it's at a low HP, then its fire types attacks get boosted. But the ability that you're more likely to see on Skeledirge, which I think I have it in all the different sets, is Unaware. Unaware ignores opponents' stat increases, and I believe stat drops as well. Any changes to their stats, it ignores them when it's taking damage or dealing damage. Really good ability. It makes it a very good both offensive and defensive mon. Just ignoring like Calm Mind boosts or from both special attack and special defense, as well as any attack buffs to attack. So yeah, really great ability. And as you can see from the stats here, it's got very good defensive stats, like really good HP stat. Defense and special defense are pretty solid as well. And it is clearly a special attacker from the 110 special attack stat. A little bit on the slower side with speed, but sometimes that's able to come to our advantage because the stat distribution allows us to go more into defensive options, which leads us to what kind of roles it will play on teams. I think in a singles perspective, this is mainly going to be a wall. That's going to be its primary use. I don't think you're going to see it used in other ways in singles very often. I do have a very cool breaker set for Skeledirge. It's the last set that I'm sharing with you, so make sure you stick around to check that one out. It's pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited about it. But you're mostly going to see it as a wall. For VGC, this Pokemon is awesome. Like, it has really good consistency, its presence on the battlefield. It doesn't really have speed control. It's mainly going to be a good mon in longer games. So the pace of play, if it slows down, then it's a pretty good option. But it can fill both roles as being a heavy hitting Pokemon and as a support Pokemon. So let's go and take a look at the different roles it can play, different sets that it can have. I think double support is the main set that you're likely to see for this Pokemon. And you can kind of play around with the EVs here a little bit. I just have max HP, max SpDef, Calm Nature, with the idea that we can use Will-O-Wisp to kind of quote-unquote buff our defense stat, since Will-O-Wisp is going to lower an opponent's attack stat. That's kind of the idea there, but you can kind of play around with this set a little bit. Of course, Unaware is the ability. Citrus Berry is a great item in doubles, especially for supportive Pokemon like this. Leftovers is another option that I think you could have for this mon, but Citrus Berry is kind of a nice catch-all. If there's something that's going to deal over half, then we can get our HP back and potentially take another hit. Slack Off is a great way to get some HP back and to elongate how long we're able to stay on the battlefield, which is really nice with Torch Song. That's the unique move for Skeledirge here. It's always 100% accurate, and it's a fire type attack that boosts our special attack by one stage after we use it, which with Unaware will ignore any special defense boosts that opponents have. So yeah, honestly a fantastic move to have. It just deals very consistent damage. Protect to stall out like Tailwind turns. We kind of like to be in Trick Room, so mostly to stall out Tailwind turns or to kind of keep ourselves healthy over the course of the game and to avoid getting hit by different attacks. Anyway, so this is the kind of set that I think you're more likely to see in matchups, but there are some other cool options here. The next set I have for you is a heavy hitting set, and this one is with Throat Spray. I believe I put, except for Hex, all the other 3 moves that are on here will activate Throat Spray to give us a +1 on special attack. Since Torch Song is a song at first, like singing attack, it'll activate Throat Spray to give us +2 in our special attack, which is kind of like doing an attack and getting a nasty plot boost, which is kind of sweet. And with a really good 110 special attack stat and a quiet nature, that's the speed dropping nature, so this is really designed to be in Trick Room, ideally with something that could set gravity to help our sings be more accurate. Makes this set like very offensive and very potent. And so that's going to be a Hyper Voice, gives us some spread attack. Torch Song and Hex are both stab, with Hex being there to get some extra damage off of putting some opponent Pokemon to sleep using Sing. And there's other kinds of moves that we could use with Hex, right? We could use Will-O-Wisp like the last set had. I believe this Pokemon also has Yawn. I might have that on another set. So there's a handful of ways that we can status opposing Pokemon in order for Hex to deal extra damage. So very, very hard-hitting set here. I think one option here you could go with is maybe instead of like Sing or instead of Hyper Voice, you could go with Protect on this set as well, just because this is going to be a very threatening set, and so opponents are going to want to try to double up on it potentially, and that's where Protect can really come in handy. The next set I have for you is we're going to start looking at singles now. And for this one, I think Heavy Duty Boots is the more likely option you'll see for singles. This wall set is very, very designed to be a physically defensive set. Between the Will-O-Wisp and Max Defense, we're able to take hits from so many different Pokemon. And then slack off that damage. Of course, Torch Song again to make us a very offensive and potent threat, and Shadow Ball there to have a little bit more coverage and another stab option. And then the next set I have for you. This set I'm kind of hyped about. I think it's really cool. I don't know exactly how well it would play, but here's how it works in theory. So it's Leftovers is designed to break through walls. That's the main goal of it. Max Speed F with Curse allows us to get attack defense boosts while dropping our speed, and then we can use Slack Off to heal off any damage we take. And it's very good, I think, at being able to break through walls. We have a lower attack stat on it. I believe it was 75, so it's not as hard hitting, but Curse will allow us to get up multiple boosts with our very, very like high stat distribution for our defenses, and having a very and having Calm Nature, I think makes this Pokemon like really hard to take down. And so Slack Off is also there to get some HP back. And then Unaware, of course, will ignore any stat boosts from our opponent so that we can know how much damage we're going to take from things, because we have stat increases that Unaware, like we still use those with Unaware. And then, of course, Shadow Claw and Flare Blitz first time damages. Now, one thing to kind of keep in mind is that because this is a ghost type, Curse, if you don't Terrastallize, Curse will put a curse on the opposing Pokemon. And so you can use this to like curse the opposing Pokemon on like the first turn, and then you can Slack Off to get some of that health back, and then Terra afterwards, and use Curse to get the boost. So this has a couple of like hidden options here. So I think Curse will be a really cool option, I think, for this Pokemon to be a breaking set. And this set I think is really, really interesting and at least unique for what I think you're likely to see from Skeledirge. It's more likely to see some of the 3 other sets that I've shown, but I think this one would be pretty cool as a way to use it as a breaking set and to kind of mix it up, you know, like if you want to use this Pokemon and use something that's a little bit different, you can throw your opponent off because they're going to expect Skeledirge to be a special attacker, right? And so if you bring this, you can really break through some walls that way. Okay, anyway, let's talk about some walls for this one. So I think for singles, we're looking at grass and water types, just partners to create a fire, water, grass core. All of the starters are really good. I didn't actually put Meowscarada on here, but I think that Pokemon is great for singles and great for doubles. Really good options for that mon. I have Wo-Chien on here. That's another grass dark type. Brute Bonnet's another one that would work pretty well with this. There's a handful of them that I think are pretty awesome. And then Quaquaval I think is great. Quaquaval will be able to break through will be able to break through any fire types that Skeledirge can't actually beat, and then the fighting type will be able to hit the dark type that Skeledirge can't quite deal with. And then of course Skeledirge switches in on a lot of the things that Quaquaval doesn't want to deal with. The grass types, the fairy types, just to name a couple. And so, oh, and of course, psychic types, right? With our Shadow Ball being able to hit those for super effective damage. So I think that these 3 Pokemon are just a handful of examples, but kind of look for things like that would be great to combo with Skeledirge. I think it's a lot of really good partners. And then for VGC, I have a couple different mons here. I have put Tatsugiri on there just because I think that it works well from a Storm Drain perspective. Gastrodon would be another option that would work pretty well here. I have Toadscruel and Klefki here as pretty solid options because both of them have Trick Room, and setting Trick Room for Skeledirge is really nice to give us that speed control. And then the heavy hitting set I think could work really well with both of them, especially the Toadscruel to be able to spore opposing Pokemon, in which case you could drop Sing and use Hex and use Protect and then Hex based on the spores from Toadscruel. And then of course Klefki has the Prankster Thunder Wave to kind of serve that similar purpose, and to also set up Trick Room or potentially screens, and to let Skeledirge survive in that longer game where I think it'll thrive. So anyway, those are a handful of options. There are tons of other great Pokemon, like I mentioned Meowscarada, and that's one of the partners I'm using on the team that you could see from the gameplay. But yeah, I think Skeledirge is going to be a really cool Pokemon. I'm really excited to see what kind of sets people decide to use, and we have a couple of different options that are here that you can use for both singles and doubles. So let me know what you're excited about. Which set do you think is the most fun? Which one are you most excited to try out? And then of course also let me know what Pokemon you're interested in seeing for more competitive guides. I have a couple that are out right now, and if you'd like to see some more guides, what Pokemon would you like to see? Let me know in the comments, and I can make a guide for that. Anyway, thanks for sticking around up to this point. And again, if you'd like to see some more content, whether it is guides, draft league play, ladder play, any of that kind of stuff, definitely stick around, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one.